Hello everyone, welcome to another Voice Essentials live hangout. Good to be with you today for what I think it's always a great time to hang out, isn't it? I know a lot of you are still in your weekend. Your weekend is coming to a close, but of course here in Brisbane, Australia, it is 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And from now on, you can count on this time is going to be the time from here henceforth, the time that we are going to do our live hangouts. You can lock it in, make sure that you put it in your diary, because from now on, if you want to catch us live, you can do so here at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And so check your watch, have a look at what time it is in your part of the world, and you'll know from now on that's when we're going to be going live. So it's good to be hanging out with you all, and I'm looking forward to today's topic. It's a topic that I put out to all of you, and I'll show you where I put a poll out in a minute. But before we do, if you're watching a replay of this, welcome. You can sort of follow along the live chat that I'll put up on the screen in a moment. But of course, leave your questions in the comments sections below if you're watching this as a replay, because I want to engage with you as well if you've missed the live hangout. But of course, live hangout it is, and so we are going to get into some live Q&A a little bit later. Hey guys, make sure you're friendly to each other, you respect each other in the live chat today. As we do always, we've got a couple of moderators that I'm sure will join us. Looking over here, yes, our two moderators have joined in, Linda and Karen from Singwise, so it's good to have them here. And they'll be just governing our discussion, making sure that we're respectful to each other. Hey, let us know all where you're from and what part of the world you're in, what's the weather like, and don't hesitate to let us know if you're new, because look, we've got quite a large community here at Voice Essentials now, and I know quite a few of you and your names, and I recognise a number of you, but with nearly, well, we're quickly approaching 25,000 subscribers. That's a big community of people, and I want to get to know you. So make sure that you let me know if you're new, so that we can give you a shout. Excuse me, there's my lunch. We can give you a shout out and say good day. Today we're going to be talking about how to prepare a song. Let me actually we'll jump over to our usual little intro just to get things going in a proper way, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about today's subject.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
Before we do, I've just realized I have not set up our live chat. Give me a moment, everyone, and I will do that. It'll only take me 5 seconds to do. Just got to replace the HT. There we go. That should fix us. And we are live. There it is. Okay. So, Chris Garner, you are kind of fairly new, Chris, but I think you've joined in before, so it's good to have you join us. Hello to, now congratulations to Celine, 1999, right at the very top, who was the very first person to join in the conversation today. He or she, I'm not sure, was very proud of themselves for jumping into straight, which is great. And Jewel is a regular. Memes, good to have you here. 11:05 in Virginia, 8:05 in California. So I'm hoping that this is a really good time for all of you to join in our live conversation. And as I said, from now on, going forward, we are going to be doing these at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Remember to hit the bell icon. So you've got to subscribe to the channel and then hit the white bell icon next to that subscription, where that way you'll receive, as long as the YouTube notification system works, because occasionally it doesn't, but generally you'll receive a notification to say, hey, Dr. Dan's going live, and you'll be able to jump in. Because it's not only at 2 p.m. on a Monday that we go live. On occasion, maybe later in the week, we'll do so as well. So to make sure you don't miss any of them, and also the other videos, which we have a pre-record video that goes live every Wednesday, 5 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You can check that out as well. So today's topic comes to us care of. Let me just bring it up. I want to show you all. So today's topic comes to us. Oh, hang on a second. Well, that's not going to work. Daniel, what are you doing? Hang on a second, everyone. So this is what we want to look at. So today's topic comes to, so what we're looking at here is my the channel page on YouTube. And what do you think of the new artwork, everyone? I've completely given the channel a complete makeover, and I'm hoping you're loving it. Give it a thumbs up. Give this video a thumbs up if you're loving the new look and the new feel. I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of weeks trying to make it a place that we can all be really proud of, to really help the channel grow, the community to grow, so that we can all encourage each other in our voice and in our singing. So we have this new thing called, so normally you'd arrive right here, and this would be, oh hello, we're live right now in this video here, and you can see this is the normal channel page, etc. Now what we've just been given access to this new tab here called Community. This is a really cool little feature that I'm hoping to use a lot more in the coming weeks and months, and we'll just to interact with you guys a lot more, not just in the videos but as a community. And what we've got down here is I decided to start with, I decided to put a question out to all of you. You know, what would we talk about today? And so I was actually, do you know what, I was expecting might get 10, 15, 20 votes. Over 306 of you have voted for today's subject. And so you can see how to choose songs that suit your voice has come in at well, more than 50% of you. When I looked at it yesterday and made the decision of what we're going to do, it was sitting at 55% with just under 300 votes. You know, I can see that people want to talk about the challenges facing the beginner singer. So we're probably going to have a look at that in the coming weeks as well. We'll talk about that subject because there's a good deal of you, you know, who want to do that. So I can, you know, we can do these polls and we can talk about it, and then I can let you know what we're going to be discussing. And so I'm hoping to use that in coming weeks and months, and hopefully we all find it a really positive facility as a community to sort of interact, create discussion, and really, you know, be a community of singers that are looking to really encourage each other. Because here at Voice Essentials, everybody sings, and this is not a place for elitism. This is a place where you and I get to just hang out and know that we're going to be encouraged. And I was sharing with a friend just the other day, I do like to play a little bit of online first-person shooters, they're called. So for those of you, you might have heard of games like Battlefront and Battlefield. Well, that's my kind of computer game. I'm a guy after all, and there are plenty of girl gamers out there, but that's the sort of game I do like to play. But of recent, you know, I've stopped hanging out playing in those spaces because, you know, I'm just sick and tired of the abuse that I tend to receive because I'm not very good. I'm cannon fodder for most people. But I don't jump online to spend an hour, you know, enjoying something only to be abused by, you know, 14-year-olds. I want to hang out in a place that I can enjoy myself and be encouraged. And, you know, that's what these online communities can really be if we as a community build a culture that really harnesses that good attitude and respectful debate, and you know, it's okay for us to disagree with each other at times, but we can do that in a respectful way. So enough of all of that. Let's get into discussing today's topic. And gee, we've got a lot of people hanging out with us today. This is really cool. Oh, Kathy, oh, good to have you, Kathy, joining in from Longreach. Everyone, Longreach is a long reach from the coast. Longreach is a long way in the middle of Queensland, and it's like, I have been to Longreach once in my life because it is way what we in Australia refer to as outback. It is way outback, and 37 degrees, and we are still not yet in summer. Oh, Kathy, I hope you stay out of the things. Hang out here, Dr. Dan. Oh wait, you're already hanging out here. Okay, so I'm just double checking that everything's okay because we've got one of my moderators saying some stuff, but I think we're all good. I'm just going to check that our live stream is humming along, and I think we're good. So we're gonna keep moving along. Let's get into today's subject. So, jumping over here. So let's talk about choosing the right song for your voice. How do you do this? I want to demystify this subject today. I think a lot of us make this far more complex than it needs to be. I don't want this to be a hard subject for you because it doesn't need to be. Yes, there is in a sense, an art to it, to really getting the right tune for you. And I want to give you some insights into that today. But let's not make this more mystical and magical than it really is. Certainly from my way of approaching it, I don't see it as being magical and mystical. It is artistic, but let me systematically walk you through it, and hopefully it'll be helpful. And I'm no doubt, as I'm going through this, I'm not going to tick all the boxes. I want you guys to be thinking, what are some of the things that you have found helpful in choosing the right song for your voice? I'm going to go through 5 steps here today with you. But certainly in the live chat and in the comments section, if you're watching the replay, in the comments section, leave your suggestions, your ideas. Let's as a community learn. You know, Dr. Dan has not got all the answers, but I'm sure we as a community, in the counsel of many, there is wisdom. I'm sure we can come up with a really, really positive group of suggestions for us all. So the first thing I want us to think about is, when learning to sing, when learning to choose songs, when you want to identify the right song, you've got to be listening to lots of music. You can't just be picking songs randomly out of the air. It does still surprise me a little bit how many people arrive at their singing lessons, and one of the first questions I ask in a singing lesson is, who do you listen to? What do you who are your favorite artists? What's your favorite genre? It is surprising how many people actually kind of glaze over and go a little blank at that point. Now, that doesn't disqualify them from learning to sing, but certainly when it comes to wanting to choose the right song, if you have got a very narrow focus of what you listen to, then your idea bank is going to be very limited. You've got to be listening. You know, and I've actually done a video a long time ago. You'd have to go searching on the channel for it, where I talked about one of the major things that a singer needs to be doing is listening to music. You know, we all, as singers, we want to be doing a lot of doing in our music. That's great, but you've also got to be doing a lot of listening. And you know, the more you listen, the more refined you become in the skill of your listening. And you start to identify, you know, what is it about the singers that I'm drawn to? And it's often going to be singers that you resonate with. It might be the lyric, it might be the melody, it might be something in their tone, something that you find yourself resonating with. Now, that does not necessarily mean that who you're listening to is what you're going to sing. There's a whole range of stuff that I listen to that I am not going to find myself singing. But nonetheless, good singers are good listeners. Let's jump over to the second thing. And then what you want to do is identify your personal preferences. Your personal preferences. What is it? What genre is that do you personally like? Now, in my case, I am drawn to adult contemporary music. So I'm drawn to, and I've shared this many times on the channel, I'm drawn to John Farnham, I'm drawn to Josh Groban, I'm drawn to sort of 90s and sort of 80s and 90s bands like Allies, which was a Christian band, and their lead singer sang the song Butterfly Kisses, was an international hit back in the 90s, but they're a great band. Rascal Flatts is another group that I love listening to. So these are the genres that I'm drawn towards personally. That is a good hint for what I am going to find myself connected to. I do want to just put this little point in here. What we're talking about here is not necessarily aimed at professional singers who have to be able to stand up in front of a paying audience and sing for the paying audience what they want to hear, as in, covers bands at pubs and clubs, corporate bands. I'm talking about the vast majority of us here on the channel who are beginners or professional amateurs, for the want of a better term, where we do have the great privilege of singing stuff that we want to sing, choosing the songs that we want to sing. And so identifying your personal preferences. And the more listening you've been doing, the more developed and more refined those preferences are going to be. And so that is really important. What do you like to sing? That doesn't necessarily still mean you're going to be able to sing everything you listen to. There's a whole heap of stuff that I have a preference towards, genre-wise, that I'm not going to find myself singing. The fifth thing that we would then jump over, sorry, not the fifth, the third, I can't even count today. Interrogate the lyric. And I often say, you've got to have a connection to the narrative. If you don't have a connection to the narrative, if there's no sense of, I can believe what I'm singing, then your audience may not believe you. Yeah? Your audience may not feel like they can connect with you. Why? Because you don't connect with you. You've got to be able to believe what you're singing. And so that can come down to, in fact, I received an email today from a brand new student who I'd given them a song to learn to sing. They've emailed me today and they've said they have a Christian faith, and from their point of view, the lyric that I'm asking them to sing stands outside of the purview of what they believe that they can sing. No arguments. We direct her to the 5,500 backing tracks that I own, and she can make a choice from that list. Because ultimately, I do want her to be able to connect with the lyric. I don't want to create a hurdle between her and the lyric, because if we do that, you're creating a hurdle between you and the audience. And so you must interrogate the lyric. What does the lyric mean? Do you understand where the original artist is coming from in writing that lyric? Can you engage with that narrative? Can you make that song your own, which we'll get to in a moment. Number 4, you want to consider the key. So here's the deal with good contemporary, great thing about contemporary singing is we are not beholden to singing in particular, like in the original key. You do not need to sing songs in the original written key. Period. Stop holding this if you're in the habit of going, well, I've got to sing in the original key, you do not need to sing in the original key. In classical voice, in many music theatre scenarios, you will need to do that. It is a thing where you are required to sing in the original key. In contemporary voice, nada. We do not need to do that. And in fact, You need to feel the freedom to apply the key to your own instrument. Now, there's probably a limit to this. Well, actually, is there? Oh, I'm sure there's an exception to every rule. The rule I'm putting out there is change the key. And I've said this many times on the channel. Your favorite artists. If you think of the Beyoncés and the Ed Sheerans and the whole range of them, they have recorded keys and then they have performance keys. Not even your favorite artist is touring, singing it in the original key. They are out there touring night in, night out, singing it generally a tone and a half, 2 tones lower. Why? Because it's smart to do that. So make sure, be gracious to yourself, change the key. Now, it's not only because we want to make it comfortable, it's because we want to make the song, and here's the 5th point, we want to make the song our own. The song is not the immovable object of life. You want to make the song your own. And you can even do that if you're singing it to a backing track. Because if you've connected with the lyric and it's a genre that you want to sing, you've changed the key, then you can make the song your own. Now, for granted, a backing track has limits. I have software here in the studio where I can not only change the key, but I can change the tempo. But the reality is the song is kind of still the same. If you want to completely, radically overhaul and reinvent the song, then you're probably going to need a muso, or you're going to need someone, your own capacity as an instrumentalist to really redevelop the song and really, really take it and make it your own. Like, for example, a great example of a tune that has been rehashed and reworked a number of times to the point where each time it's been rehashed, it's come out a hit, is Hallelujah. So it's been done by so many different people, and each time you hear it, and if it's been rehashed really well, you go, wow, is that person's song? My favorite version of, I used to love the version of Hallelujah when Jeff Buckley did it, and it was sort of, in my mind, the iconic version, and then I heard KD Lang do it. What? It was amazing. She had literally made the song her own. Why? Because she connected with the lyric. It was a genre that she was able to really harness and pull into her own sphere of influence. She interrogated the lyric and she made the song her own. So they're the 5 things that I want you to really think about when you're choosing your own song. Now, as I said, there's nothing mystical and grand about this. Maybe I'm missing something, but this is how I go about choosing a song. I need it to resonate with me. I need to feel connection to the lyric so that when I stand up, I can present the song. And this is how I direct all of my clients, all of my students to choose the repertoire. Why? Because at the end of the day, your audience are not sitting there, with a tick sheet going, giving you a cross for every time you miss a note. No, they want you to speak to them. They want you to communicate with them. And if you have got no connection to the lyric, then you're not going to, and that's when they pull out the tick sheet and start marking a cross against every bum note that you sing. So there you go, 5 things that you can do. Let's go through them again just very quickly. You can listen lots. Identify personal preferences. What is it that you love? What genre, just as an example, that you love. Interrogate the lyric. Do you connect with the lyric? Consider the key. Yeah? Is it a key that is, put it into a key that is not only singable but maintains the original intention of the lyric and serves the lyric? And then finally, go about making the song your own. Guys, I hope that's been helpful, and I know that I'm just watching this massive run of commentary in the comments section, which it gives me so much joy to see you guys interacting online. I really get a bit of a kick out of it, so it's really exciting. We are now going to go to your questions and comments, because it'd be interesting to see what you guys have been saying in the comments section. Sorry, in the live chat, to be able to see if we can have a bit of a discussion around some of the things we've been talking about. But of course, make sure you write your questions down, and so that we can answer a few of your questions in going forward. And we'll be right back after this. So let's get into our questions. I'm just double checking that I haven't stuffed up. We don't have any music over the top, which is great. Awesome. Let me get rid of this, and I'm just going to jump over to here. So let's have a look at our questions. Go right back up the top. Oh, hang on a second. Come on, Daniel. As you can see there, Celine 1999. Before I'd even hit the stream button, Celine had jumped in. So he or she had left that comment there quite a bit early. So I've got so many of you today, which is just fantastic. St. Petersburg, Chris, that's where you're from. Awesome. Breeze from Ontario, Utah, Pakistan, Fatima. So good to have you. Wow, that's awesome. Isn't this, I mean, modern technology is just awesome. It allows us all to connect from across the globe. It really is quite extraordinary. Okay, Las Vegas, and so Jules saying, yeah, it's all about the right key. And I think that is, but notice that choosing the right key, Jules, was number 4 of a 5-step process that I've just laid out. It is an important point, but make sure before that you've connected with the lyric. That's so important. Believe it or not, Broken Silence has got a comment here. Believe it or not, punk rock is good vocal practice. Get your throat going, get your lungs working, then move on to opera if you like. Obviously, Broken Silence likes a little bit of punk rock. Look, punk rock is a great genre if you're into it. Of course, you want to do every genre with good technique, good, safe, sustainable technique. And moving on to opera after punk rock, probably, every voice is anatomically capable of doing that, but they're going to have to be 2 separate events in time, I think you'll find Broken. So coming down here, I'm looking for questions. Bree loves Josh Groban. Yeah, I think there's a few of us that enjoy Josh's stuff. Oh, that's good on your Telegram, Sam. Good to have you along, mate. Yeah, Butterfly Kisses is one of those iconic songs that I do enjoy singing. I'm very scared that my daughter will ask me to sing it at her wedding, because I used to sing it to her. I used to bring her up on stage as a toddler, and hearts would melt, and we'd do it with her teddy and her furry teddy, but I must admit, I hope she doesn't ask me to sing it at a wedding, because I don't think I'll make it through, to be honest. Anyway, coming down here, Own It, yeah, absolutely, from Mr. C. Jefferson. Coming down, what if the artist never wrote the song? Chris, I'm not, maybe you can clarify a little bit later in what you're asking down then. There's something else to sing for them, money spent on. I'm looking, guys, for questions down here. Oh, here we go. Angie's asking, do you recommend where to find songs in an alternate key in general? I actually use a little program. I don't think I'll be able to show you, actually, because it won't. I won't be able to. I might be able to show you. Hang on a second. I'll show you the little program I use. Now, I'm using Windows Media Player, which might sound a bit daggy, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let me see if I can Can you see that program there, everyone? That's a program called Chronotron. And I have been using this little program for, years and years. I don't know, I've lost over a decade. It's had a number of updates over the years. It changes key, and it does this live. So you're able to be playing a track and change the key and the tempo in real time. It's a great algorithm, and it's a plug-in for Windows Media Player. And I've always found it really good. But I believe you can find the same sort of things for same sort of plugins for other programs. It's just that that's the one that I use, Chronotron. Coming down here, Constance Burns. What's the big deal to change keys, especially if that makes a difference to whether you can sing it and make it your own, like REM's You Are the Everything. I love that song. Yeah, to me it's not a big deal. You change the key. And look, contemporary music has a long history of changing key. You know, if you went to a jazz club in the 1930s, 1940s, you might hear Bye-Bye Blackbird played in one key, and you could go down the road, same night, different band playing it in a different key. So, you know, the singer has to have the right to change the key as well. And contemporary singers have been doing it for a long time. Karen here is saying, I resonate most with rock and musical theatre. Oh, I love rock musical theatre. So Chess, JC, you know, Wicked's more pop, Rent, love that stuff. But I don't, Karen goes on to say, but I don't think my voice is well suited to rock. I don't think it's just a matter of learning rock technique and deep. And look, that's a really good point that Karen makes there. Not every song that you resonate with, and I think I actually said this earlier on in the conversation, not every song that you resonate with is going to be the right choice for you. And so certainly there is an art to it, but the 5 steps that we've just talked through is a place for you to start with all of this. So don't see it as you know, it isn't open slather, but it certainly it refines your target and means that you can, you know, play around with it a little bit more. So Karen just reminding us there of a good point. Doctor, I have a good song that connects to me, but I'm afraid I may lose my emotions. Well, that's what I'm saying about the song I just was referring to, Butterfly Kisses. My concern would be that my emotions would be too high if I sang Butterfly Kisses at my own daughter's wedding. You know, and I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. You know, sometimes it is a matter of sort of, I'm going to stop short of saying desensitizing yourself, but equally learning where that line of emotion, where you know that if you overstep that point, that you will collapse, because at the end of the day, you're there to communicate. You're not there to become a blubbering mess. Though at times the blubbering mess can work. I saw a really great performance by Kelly Clarkson, was it 6 months ago, where she sang one of her newest pieces about her dad leaving and the community, you know, this anyway. And she loses it a bit. Mind you, she was probably 8 months pregnant when she was singing it. Like, you know, the hormones and everything flowing through her body must have been off the charts. But, you know, she was so connected to the repertoire that outflow of emotion, that bubbling over, didn't detract from the performance. So there's a time and place for everything, I guess. Bree is saying I have more of a classical voice with a whole lot of vibrato. Yeah, well, there are some singers that have really made that their own thing in contemporary voice. We have a singer here in Australia, someone who I've had the great privilege of singing with, Kate Miller-Heidke, and wonderful singer, classically trained, and has taken those classical influences and sort of taken it into a pop folk kind of space, and it's made a real signature of her material. So, yeah, for every rule that we have, there are multiple exceptions, And it is a matter of you being able to ground yourself in the rules so that you can, become the exception. We are going to bring this to a close. Before we do, Chris has just identified that band in a box is good, especially for jazz singers. I think, if I'm remembering the right program there, Chris. Jasmine, right down here at the bottom. I have horrible asthma, but have been in my choir my whole life. Do you do your best and have your inhaler on you? Oh, okay. Someone must have commented about asthma earlier on. The thing with asthma, you've got to recognize, and there's actually a video on the channel, guys and gals. With asthma, you've just got to recognize what are your triggers. With some of my students, their triggers, if you are over inhaling, then that can trigger an asthma response. So know what your triggers are and then start to deal with it appropriately. Just treating it with a puffer can be problematic over the long term. I always encourage my students to use a spacer. It helps to distribute and disperse the inhalant propellant far more effectively and not, distribute that too heavily along the vocal folds. You need to always rinse after you've used your inhaler and your spacer. So there's some good hints and tips. And Grace has just jumped in. And we are going to, I tell you what, Grace, you've just jumped in, but I'm going to give you the last question of the day because we've been going for a little while now. What's the difference between falsetto and head voice? Also, I find my head voice to be quite breathy. How can I make my head voice stronger? Ooh, Grace. I'm not going to be able to give you a detailed response to this question today because you've just asked a very complex question. I know you didn't mean to. Voice registration is the subject sort of umbrella that you've just plunged us into. So we're not going to chase the rabbit down that hole too far. I've got a number of videos on the channel that can go into this in a bit more depth. The new language that sort of came about in 2009 was M1 and M2. To understand M1 and M2, so a lot of people historically would have referred to M1 as chest voice and M2 as head voice, but that is far too simplistic an explanation. So I still, for the most part, subscribe to a model called Thurman and Welch, where we talk about a 4-register model with a sort of a 5th one on top. So we talk about pulse, lower register, upper register, falsetto, and whistle tone, which I, to date, and I've shared this many times, I am not able to access whistle register. Many people can, because it's a very specific posturing of the vocal folds, and for whatever reason, my voice is not able to posture into that position. I think the jury's out as to whether I could learn to do that or not, but I have not been shown how my voice could do that. And I've been doing this a little while, but we're learning things all the time. So there, the four ones that I want to focus in on is pulse, lower, upper, and register. Now, what most people in the past would have called upper register would have been head voice. And the reason we get confused when we start to talk about head voice and falsetto is simply because, well, actually, in the modeling that I use, head voice is different to falsetto. Head voice is a lengthened dominant or M1 mode that has not quite elongated the vocal folds and thinned them to a point where they're falsetto. Yeah, really high. There's still a bit of activity of the shortener muscle so that you've got a little bit of body in the vocal fold, but the vocal folds have elongated, they've lengthened out. So we refer to it as a lengthened dominant mode where the shortener muscles, the thyroarytenoid muscle, have engaged. I'm listening to myself talk. You can hear this is a complex subject. Registration is a very challenging subject to understand. Please, Grace, jump across, have a look at the have a look at some of my videos on my channel, and I go into that in much more depth, and hopefully you can get something out of that. Okay, oh, the amazing slowdowner. That's a really good. I have heard of that, and a lot of people use that software for key change and pitch change and all those sorts of things. There we go. There's another live hangout has come and gone, everyone. As always, I really hope you've enjoyed your time here, and thank you for being respectful to each other. Of course, if this is the first time you've ever hung out with us, I hope you've enjoyed the show. We do this every Monday from now on. Every Monday, 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. If you subscribe to the channel, hit the white bell icon, and that will mean you get notifications to know when we are going live and when I have new videos, because we have pre-record videos go live on Wednesday, and starting in the new year, heads up, there'll be a third video that'll go live on a Friday. So hit that bell icon, then you'll be notified, and you won't miss a show. And I'll always do my best to answer your questions to the best of my ability. Great hanging out. I think we'll probably come back and talk about that subject that we did. What was that other one? I'm just going back over here, everyone. Here's the subject we're talking about. Next week we might come back and talk about challenges facing the beginner singer, and we'll see about that. But in the meantime, look, jump across, have a check of the channel, and subscribe. Until I see you in the next Voice Essentials video, I hope you all have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you again next week when we hang out live together for an hour or so. Well, it's always about 45 minutes, 40 minutes. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Have a great week, everyone. My name is Dr. Dan. Sing well.